Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a happy Thanksgiving and a fantastic day for those of you who don't celebrate. We are, of course, starting with puppy pictures. Here are the adorable little ones fast asleep all together. Cassandra has, in fact, reached a pound today exactly. Betty is lagging a little bit behind her. Carolyn is at 14 ounces, and Yvonne is still at 11. She's gained like a fraction of an ounce. Nothing to be fussed about. They're going to slow down a little bit, and then they'll pick up again while they continue to become more active. It's going to get exciting here soon, folks. Here you can see Cassandra's little face. She's got both eyes open. They all have both eyes open now, so it didn't take long at all. Sometimes you have one that lags a little bit. They are basically right on time, honestly. Maybe a couple days early. 2 weeks is about when their eyes will open. We can actually expect to see them actually walking in the very near future. And Betty, with her eyes open, you can just barely see them. You can see how they're still a little cloudy. Their eyes take a little longer to develop. Carolyn, with her, we saw her left eye the other day, and now her right eye is open. They're getting so cute. I need to clip their nails. I managed to clip Cassandra's earlier, but I'm going to need to expend a little patience to get the other ones, because they're definitely going to turn into fighters. And then finally, cute little Yvonne with both of her eyes open. That little flare of white between her face. She's just so adorable. Really. So today I thought we would go ahead and look at the various trailers for Avowed and a couple of the articles that are coming out on it, just so that, we can kind of talk about the things that might make a gamer feel less than excited about a game without really having the opportunity to play a game. Since you so many times hear people saying when a game is about to come out and people are complaining about how they don't like the look of it, and people will say, well, you gotta wait until you play it. You gotta wait until you play it. No, you really don't, because there's so much that you can tell beforehand. And so I want to take the opportunity to go ahead and look for those things that might tell me if I'm interested in a game or not. We're going to start with there's a pre-order trailer, there's a story trailer, and there's a gameplay trailer, I believe. So we're going to start with those, and the first up is the pre-order trailer.
You must be our Imperial envoy. Better late than never, I say.
All right, I got to say we're, 14 seconds into the trailer already. I'm not particularly excited. The colors are too bright, too saturated, and it has a very plasticky feel to it. It honestly looks to me as if they had taken the look of the characters from Dragon Age: The Veilguard and made an entire game based on that alone. And I will say the look of this guy right here doesn't help anything. He is definitely not what I would consider a character that I want to spend a lot of time looking at. Another thing that makes me wonder about this game, and I'm going to replay the part here, is the lip tracking on this NPC here as she speaks.
I'm about ready to get started.
And while she's actually, I think she's very pretty in the face, she could use larger breasts, but that's a whatever. I'm a woman. I don't really care too much about that, except for on the character I create. That's a separate issue. But she's not the worst looking character I've ever seen, but the lip sync there is not particularly what I like to see. All right, and here we get a look at the companions that are in this game. And all I can think when I'm seeing these is Concord. Yeah, I feel like these characters would fit right into Concord. And that's, as we all know, not a good thing. And I know a lot of people like this art style. It's that THQ Nordic, puffy, cartoony style. I don't like it. I just don't. And I don't know if it's something that has to do with the current day graphic engines or what's going on with it. But it is definitely not an art style I prefer. This is the story trailer. We'll take a look and see what we see here.
Come. Your emperor has chosen you as our envoy to the living lands. That wild frontier.
I really hate the look of this. I understand what they're going for, but it just looks so much like plastic to me. It looks like something that I would have had in an 80s playset.
Suffers from the dream scourge. Find the root of this terrible plague and put an end to it.
He is wrong. The dream scourge is but a symptom of a deeper, more dangerous rot.
The more I hear about the storyline in this game, the more I think Greedfall. I understand that it's really difficult to do a completely new and original kind of thing anymore, but the story really more and more does remind me of Greedfall, where your character is literally sent to an island and people start getting sick. I don't understand what the current use of purple is in gaming. There is a lot of it. I mean, look at Veilguard. It's purple everywhere. The amount of purple we've already seen in this game has been a little ridiculous. And normally it's not something that I would pay a lot of attention to. There's just a lot of it.
Aim the chaos that plagues the living lands, so that those who remain standing can shape its future.
They both deceive you. There is more wonder in this world than eyes alone can see. You must open yourself to its mysteries. Tend to its purpose, no matter how wild.
And there's more purple.
And become
Oh, more purple.
what the living lands truly needs. Its protector.
I can't help but feel in some way maybe this game was made to be played in VR, and they decided that since VR is not catching on as quickly as it was anticipated to, that they kind of pivoted and made it more first-person oriented. It's just a theory. Don't quote me on that to anybody. So far, I'm getting Greedfall meets The Last of Us. I don't know if that would necessarily be considered a good thing. Finally, this should be the gameplay trailer, so let's go ahead and dive right into that. That lava looks absolutely terrible. It's not something I generally judge a game on just because I understand the difficulties of animating lava, but it does look terrible. Okay, that was very, pre-movie production, introduction, trailer-y. Okay. It's not like that hasn't been done in gaming before. It just kind of caught me off guard. Honestly, kind of feels like they were imitating Marvel just a little bit. Not quite, obviously, since, the Marvel thing's more movie oriented, but just with the whole, popping previous characters up on the screen and so forth. Yeah, that kind of thing. Now, one thing I will state is I do appreciate that they are showing in-game footage and cinematics and stating as much, especially since I know in the past people have had severe problems with the fact that a lot of times you see pre-rendered footage. And as much as I don't like the art style, I will say it at least looks okay for what the art style is. Though, looking at this and looking at some of the stuff we previously saw, that thing from the story trailer that I referenced that looked very plasticky to me, this doesn't look like it fits. This looks very nicely rendered. It almost looks kind of, that realistic but not realistic kind of thing that games can have. And this, honestly, if the whole game looked like this is what I prefer.
People don't like you very much, do they?
So we have the fish man, for some reason, who definitely looks like he belongs in Concord.
Sent here to the living lands.
And this is what I'm talking about. I understand what they're going for, but it just looks too wrong. It looks off.
By an emperor who couldn't bother to come himself.
This looks like something you would see in a fish tank.
To investigate some plague that seems to be corrupting our very soul.
What is that movement? It looks like they're turntabling this guy. Okay, so here's my problem with this hit right here. I mean, it looks like it would be really cool, but something in that impact lacks impact. It looks like it doesn't actually connect. It's like watching two people choreograph a fight and the other guy, they don't get it quite right. They don't get the angle quite right. So you pick up on the fact that they're not actually making contact. I don't like that.
You want us to trust you. But the truth is, you scare us. The way you fight.
Oh, I won't lie. That was actually kind of cool. The whole freezing him and then chopping him thing. I like that.
The power you wield.
I get the feeling that's going to be a thing in this game a lot.
The secrets you keep. You're either here to save us or destroy us. So now that you have all this power, what are you gonna do with it?
You know that now that you have this power, what are you going to do with it? Seems to be an interesting theme in games right now. They definitely have something that they generally want you to do with it. Now I have seen people talking about you can do an evil path in this game. So maybe it's not as defined as I would assume based on the general gaming atmosphere right now. But, you know, you just can't ever be entirely sure in these games anymore. And then again, you know, these look like slightly scarier Darkspawn from Veilguard. Not like a lot. I mean, they're slightly less cartoony, but not cartoony enough. So I think realistically what my issue here is that these trailers don't leave me feeling excited. They don't leave me feeling like I really want to play this game. They leave me feeling like, you know, if it comes out and I hear it has a really great story and the gameplay sounds good, then maybe I'll check it out. Kind of like Forspoken. Forspoken, I liked some of the ideas that they'd had in it, but when it came out, but after watching the trailers and everything, I'm like, you know, this is one of those things that I'm going to wait and see what happens with it. And this is another game that if I knew nothing else about it right now, I would be kind of, I'll wait and see what happens. I'll wait and see what somebody else says after they play it. See if people actually get excited about it before I make any real decisions. But knowing how long this has been in development and seeing what they're showing you on screen is kind of disappointing. I'm not going to lie. I wish I could remember the first time I heard about Avowed coming out, but it was before the launch of the Xbox Series X and S. I want to say they were talking about it being developed for the next generation console, but the next generation console hadn't quite been announced yet. And as a big fan of Neverwinter Nights 2, it's another one of those game studios that made games I loved in the past. And so it's like, you know, I'll wait and see, maybe give it a chance when it comes out. But now I don't want to. And it's not because, well, it's partly because they made a trailer. Their trailers don't show me anything that I would get excited about. But it's also because of the way I see their employees choosing to treat gamers, choosing to treat people in general, the attitudes they display and the way they act in such a social world, in the very social world that we live in. You can't, as a person who is observantly representing your company on your public profile, you don't get the opportunity to step out of line and say, oh, I'm just saying what I want to say. If you didn't have that stuff on there, but people still knew you worked for them, I would say, okay, you don't have your work directly attached to your profile. So whatever, say what you want, do what you want, as long as you're not dragging your work into it. But the second you drag your work into it, it's a whole other ballgame. You are now actively bringing in your profession, and at that point, people have every right to judge and address your profession. And while people seem to get confused about that, not a lot I can do about it, and not a lot you can do about it if you're one of those people. You have to accept the fact that you have made this choice, and once you put things out there publicly, people get to make that judgment. As I said in my previous video, another thing that I keep my eye on is how the games journalists choose to push a game forward. How are they presenting the game to me? What are they focusing on? What are they talking about? For example, with Veilguard, when they started talking about the hair mechanics, the hair physics in Veilguard, there's a lot of things they just didn't talk about. And that's how I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be a game I was interested in. It took them so long to ever talk about how the game was going to tie back into the previous games that I knew right there it probably wasn't going to work. So this article is Avowed, everything we know so far. And I will say right here from the beginning, I kind of have to wonder what this is going to be like. They do talk about the game's world and the fact that it is attached to the same universe as Pillars of Eternity in the world of Yora, where they have spent time before in previous games. But the fact that they talk about, Fallout New Vegas, Neverwinter Nights 2, the Outer Worlds, they're pushing the pedigree of the game studio, which makes sense, to some degree. But I have to wonder with the amount they kind of linger over it. I will say February is going to be a really interesting month. When you look at the fact that you have this coming out, you have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. That's such a silly concept, I'm not even gonna lie. And then you have whatever that is. Again, a character straight out of Concord. It looks bright and colorful. You would think, this is bound to bring a player into a game with such fantastical creatures. But at the same time, it falls into that same thing that the Veilguard did with the Kunari, where it looks too human at the same time. I mean, yeah, it has the funny ears, but there's something about it that's just a little too plain. And the fact that Avowed was pushed back from November 2024 to February 2025, and they're claiming that it was to give players' backlogs some breathing room, is hilarious. That tells me they don't think this game is really going to hold up well. And I mean, it's already going to have some problems coming out in February. They already should have known that realistically. February is going to be a very busy release month. Okay, they do admit that you don't need to have played any of the Pillar of Eternity's games since this is meant to be introductory to anybody, which makes sense. It's a different type of game than Pillars of Eternity, so it'll be much easier to start as a on-loading game, realistically. And it's also not an open world game, so that is interesting. It's instead broke into, it says, denser themed biomes. And apparently it's supposed to be similar to the Outer Worlds. Imagine they have the biomes set much like they had the separate planets, which will be, I guess, interesting. It's striving to be an RPG that respects your time. I don't understand that. What do you mean by an RPG that respects my time? That is an interesting statement for me because, in my opinion, the best thing about an RPG is getting so into it that I forget how much time I've been playing it, that hours and hours have passed, and I'm still playing, and I'm thinking, oh, I can do just one more thing, but I look at the time, and one more thing was 3 hours ago. That's what I want in my RPG. I don't want an RPG that makes it easy for me to step away, because that means that I am not really able to get into the game, that I'm not immersed in the game. I'm not role-playing the game. I might be playing the game, but I'm not actively engaged in my role in the game. I find that they're telling me that the companions are a core part of the Avowed experience, but at the same time, it is such a short section. I do appreciate that they've gone the option of having non-romanceable characters, because quite honestly, I am sick of romance in video games. I don't mind a good, well-written romance in a video game, but they can't write one lately. And I understand not wanting to tackle that bear. So on that regard, I will definitely give them points. But at the same time, I have to wonder if it wasn't just them trying to get out of it easy. It does bother me that apparently you access them through that says redial wheel. I think they mean radial wheel. And you get the whole normal conversation thing where you talk with your companions and they'll have opinions about what you do and have their own motives and stuff. So that's great, I guess. Only 2 races you can be, human or elf. That's not a problem. They are very vague about the cosmetic stuff, other than the fact that you get to add elements such as tree bark and fungal growths because of your character's godlike heritage. All right, yes, the Avowed has been in development at Obsidian Entertainment for over 5 years, making it one of the longest ongoing productions in the famed studio's history. Obsidian is best known for creating some of the best RPGs, Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, The Outer Worlds, and plenty more, etc., etc. So 2019 sounds right, I think, for when I first heard about the game. And here is another article from PC Gamer where they say, Avowed, everything we know about Obsidian's next big RPG. This writer seems to have more of a personal narrative going on, which, yeah, that's cool, whatever. I'm not really going to get that. I don't really care about that. I like how he says here, in addition to the idea that Microsoft was moving Avowed to 2025 to give players' backlogs some breathing room, he adds, so no need to catastrophize the delay into something other than aiming for a healthier sales window. When news of Avowed's date change broke, it was said to be in good shape. And again, you look at the window that it's coming out in, and how is it any better? I mean, the crowded holiday release window they're talking about is Dragon Age the Veilguard, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, and Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It has like 4 it's going up against in February, so how is that a better release window? Or did that change after they made this change? I'm not paying close enough attention to that generally to have a good idea on where that happened. And honestly, I'm not in the mood to track down everything that I would need to trace that together this evening. I still got to get up and make a turkey. But still, adding that little extra bit there really makes me wonder if there's not something that is being hidden. And call me a conspiracy theorist, which I'm sure I am on occasion, but little things like that do kind of make me think, what are you hiding? Now, we're back to when they talk about it's supposed to be Obsidian's take on Skyrim. Without it being an open world game, how is it Obsidian's take on Skyrim? Now that I know that it is not open world, why do they keep bringing in the comparison to Skyrim? Because it's not Skyrim. Yes, it is first person. You have a lot of ability to choose your battle style. Does it have the same kind of skill tree? Is it a usage-based progression like Skyrim? Is that where the comparison comes in? Because without the open world design, it's not the same thing. Is it going to plop you in and you get to move the story along as you see fit? Do you get to visit these areas, or is it more streamlined? Because all of those things are what I consider key points of Skyrim. Avowed has guns. I don't want to say that Avowed is Skyrim with guns, but well, there it is. And here you have them basically stealing the Pal World line of Pokemon with guns and placing Skyrim in there. Why are they beating Skyrim so much into this game? Why are they trying to make me associate this game with another game that is considered to be an amazing classic? Now, don't get me wrong, I have enjoyed Skyrim. I have started the game up, picked a direction, and just ran that way until I found whatever and did whatever and leveled up and did things. I've never actually beat the storyline, but I've got at least 1,000 hours into Skyrim, and I've yet to actually beat the game. that says a lot for the open worldness of it. Now, when you say like Skyrim, which part of this is so much like Skyrim again? They don't actually address what is like Skyrim. I already know that it's not open world, so I know it's not that. But they don't tell me that. And that bothers me. Okay, so here it is finally. Instead, it'll have more free-form character progression with the ability trees similar to Skyrim's perk constellations. It's a classless game. Okay, so that makes sense. And honestly, that can be very fun. I actually enjoy that kind of thing. Now, you will have character backgrounds, and those things will affect your character. But so the entire It's Like Skyrim is based on the skill tree and the battle system. Interesting. Apparently, you're going to be playing most of this game with your characters. They're going to be very integral to the plot. It says Avowed is a couple degrees closer to CRPG-style party emphasis than its obvious Elder Scroll counterparts. So they're going to focus more on the story. The season says in a few cases you'll need a specific companion character, specific knowledge or skills to resolve a situation, but otherwise you're free to run with whoever you want. There is no approval system where companions could potentially leave if you make a decision that upsets them, but you'll be able to make choices that influence the outcomes of their individual stories. Now, I do understand and don't begrudge that the games journalists feel it is their job to talk up the games. But just looking at these two articles, this one came out October 8th, 2024, and this one came out November 22nd, 2024. Now that is a month with not a lot of new information between the two. At least they're not both the same kind of copy-pasted article, so that's a positive. This one does definitely have some more in-depth information, but it's not giving me any information that makes me say, gee, I need to play this game. Again, if I didn't know what I know, I would be saying about this game right now, I'm going to wait until someone I trust plays it. I'm going to wait until I get more gamer opinions as opposed to the opinions of the journalists, because anymore, the gamer opinion is more accurate and more real than what the critics give us, because I can't trust the critics. They just want to tell me what's good so that they can make the money. I mean, you also have articles like Obsidian's blockbuster Avowed feels like the perfect combination of first-person and classic RPG. And then we have You Don't Need Avowed to be the next Skyrim, which it can't be because honestly the only thing it shares with Skyrim is kind of the classless feature. And then of course you have Avowed's disappointing demo betrays its excellent world and combat. And these titles kind of say to me, wait. You don't need this game. You need to wait for it. And then their employees say to me, you don't need this game at all because it's not even going to be worth it. You're not going to even want to bother trying to stomach your way through this art style. Because really, this art style tells me, again, everything I care to know about the game. And that is me at my most absolutely particular about the types of games I like to play. I'm sure I've said it before, but I was never able to get into World of Warcraft specifically because of the art design in that world. It is not an art design for me, and this is not an art design for me. Again. But we'll see when it comes out. I mean, even with the absolutely astounding mess of things that some of their employees are currently making on social media, there's a small chance this game comes out and it's fantastic. Now, when I say a small chance, I mean win the lottery type size chance. I'm not saying that this game has got a chance worth really even talking about. But I like to stay grounded in reality. I am still pushing to 5K by the new year. We are at 4,891. That means I only need 109 more subscribers. If you've not subscribed yet, give it a thought. Please feel free if you would like to. I would definitely appreciate it. All that said, there will probably not be a stream this evening. I know Thanksgiving and all. I have to feed a large amount of people. I will, however, post pictures of my gorgeous turkey because it will come out beautiful. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you don't celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful day either way. And I look forward to your thoughts on everything I've talked about down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. If you really liked it, you can feel free to share it around, and I will catch you later.